Hi, Jim here. This is day 3 from the initiation of seeing the swarming activity, where they were looking for a home. Now, yesterday's video was about how I suspected they were going to go into the Peachtree baited nuke again. And because of all the activity, they were so excited about that Peachtree hive. Oh my gosh. But then the video I did yesterday, I came to the front yard because I have a baited nuke in the cherry tree. And I noticed that that one was more active than the one in the peach tree. And I says, oh, maybe they'll go into the one in the cherry tree. So at midnight last night, I turned into a pumpkin. No. At midnight, I came out here and took that box down and took it in the garage and loaded it with frames because I had no frames. And so, because my instinct, after looking at that yesterday, when I was making that video yesterday, you can see that it's the one previous to this one. I made a comment, well, this one's more active than the one in the peach tree. Maybe they'll go into this one. So I followed that instinct, and that was an empty box with no frames. So last night I put the frames, filled it with 5 frames, and I had really a lot of things to do this morning, just a lot of things I needed to finish. And so I wasn't able to come out and see what's going on with the bees until about 12:30. And so I went into the back, sitting down there with my camera, waiting for the swarm to come in, and not one single bee was going into that peach tree baited nuke. Not one. But I seen that last year. It's like there was a bunch of bees in it. All of a sudden they just disappeared. Not one single bee was going in that hive for about 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, about 100 bees just came landing on it, just going in and out, all excited. And a few moments later, I heard a noise and I saw the swarm coming. And so they swarmed in. And so, so I was sitting there for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Well, maybe they're just going to collect the other girls and they're going to swarm back. And then I started getting this sense, like, no, this is too long. I think I better go check that cherry tree. So I came and checked the cherry tree. Yeah, I missed the swarm by that much. So they did swarm into the cherry tree. And there's no more activity in any of the other baited nukes, not even one bee. They're all right there. They swarmed right into that cherry tree hive. I just built that box, put it up there about 5 days ago or so. So they swarmed in to that cherry tree box. Well, it's good that I got 2 good boxes that they like. Now, this one's very far away from my apiary, pretty far. And so what I'm thinking about doing is closing that flap tonight when they're all in there sleeping, and take it into the back, throw some brush in front of it, put it on top of the hive where I'm going to transfer it in a week. So it's right there in the area, and I will put it in the back. I'm not sure, because if they don't like that new area that I put them in, they will swarm out again. They'll take off. Might lose them, right? I might go to a tree and just regroup, and I'll lose that swarm. But that's where they went, in the cherry tree. That's good to know. I got 2 good boxes that they like. Yeah, they were really confused about which one they wanted to go with. So there you go. Busy bees. So there you go. And the back is empty. So when I was transferring those frames at midnight last night into the one that I just caught the swarm in, I took some of the frames out of that one, and I forgot to put the cover back on last night. So I came in to the garage around 12:30. There was bees flying in the window. The cover wasn't on it. But they were still wanting to try to occupy the hive before they did the swarm because they were still deciding. It's like the decision is made pretty quick. That decision is made within probably 5 minutes which hive they're going to go to, and then they go to it. Pretty quick. And so in the meantime, you got scouts that are still scouting all the other nukes. Well, they were still scouting this one. They were still scouting this one this morning, or early this afternoon, around noonish. So anyway, I put the cover back on there, and not a single bee is going in there now. There's not a single bee going in any of my baited nukes. So, and that's what they do. They get large groups, and they start to go and occupy certain baited nukes. And whoever comes back with the best margarita dance, well, that's where they go. And here's what the hive looks like that was loaded last night with bees. That's what it looks like today. Not a single bee going in and out of there. Same thing with those baited ones over there. Not a single bee. So that was, yep, sure enough. So that was the situation. Right? That's what happened. They went to a place I didn't want them to go. I got this bee that's pestering me today. It's like she won't leave me alone. So I'm probably not going to be able to stay here very long. I had my bell on, sitting here for about 15 minutes, because I came here and there was no bees going in there. I thought, oh, maybe they went and got them, because that's what happened last year. It was just no activity for like 15 or more minutes. And then all of a sudden, boom, really quick. So I sit here for about 15 minutes, have my camera. Oh, maybe they're gonna, you know. And the whole time they were already in the cherry tree. They already swarmed in. Missed it by that much. Oh, get smart. Oh well. Yeah, I was just so many things I needed to finish up from yesterday that were time sensitive that I wasn't able to get out in time. I really didn't think they were going to swarm out until around 2 o'clock. I didn't think they were going to swarm out so early. Oh well, now it's live and learn, right? Be ready in the morning. If you're going to do some recordings like that, or, you know, just because it was a certain way last time doesn't mean it's going to be the same way the next time, or time, or place, or got to be ready for all scenarios. I'm gonna have to pick off hundreds of those peaches. Those peaches get so big, they will break every single branch, even the big ones. They'll break them. I've had that happen so many times. Big, huge branches hanging way down, loaded with peaches. Snap. I'm just sitting here and snap. Branches would fall on my head, or a bunch of peaches, and yeah. So it's important, you know, if you got a fruit tree and it's one of those years where it's just more loaded than you've ever seen it, and this is more loaded than I've ever seen it. And you want to go in there and pluck them off when they're still little, you know, just leave one peach here, one peach there. Just think about how many peaches you can keep, and how many peaches or fruit how much pressure that would put on a specific branch, because these branches are really tiny branches and they're fragile, and so each branch can only hold like 3 or 4 peaches. Little branches, you know, like this long. Yeah, can't get too many peaches on them, they'll break them. So anyway, so that gives me 4 hives. And another thing, I'm thinking that when I did the split with I took this brood off the top along with the super, and then I added another super to that one, and I suspected I ended up with the queen, because I'm seeing navigation flights come out of here time to time, and I haven't seen any for a long time on the main hive. So I'm thinking I took the queen and there was no cells, there was no larvae left, you know, a day or 2 larvae left for them to make a new queen. So I'm thinking they're queenless. That's okay right now. I was getting up to 50 mites a day every 24 hours out of the main hive. That's too many. And so by them being queenless for a certain amount of time, that's good. What I'll do is, if I don't see any orientational flights and I go in there and I don't see any capped brood or anything like that, and I got that varroa mite count down to like around 0 every 24 hours or close to it, like maybe 1 or 2 a day, then I'll take some couple-day-old larvae, put it into a queen cap, and I'll just drop a couple of those queen cells, future queen cells, into this hive that was heavily infested with varroa mites, and they'll make their own queen. And that's probably what I'm going to do. Another option, I could just take a frame that has a bunch of eggs, you know, and out of this one or this one, probably that one, out of the swarm, and just drop the frame in there. They'll make a queen cell that way as well. It depends on what seems easier. Probably easier just take the frame with some eggs already, just drop it in there, than getting that Chinese scooper and taking the larvae out of that little cell of the comb, dropping it into the other cell, and then going over there and putting it into in between some frames in towards the center. Yeah, it's probably easier just, oh, take this and drop this here and walk away. I don't know. I'm playing by ear. Whatever my instincts tell me at the time. Well, there you go. Another swarm caught. And another swarm's caught. And another swarm's caught. Another swarm bites the dust. Hey! So at the present moment, I have 4 hives. So on April 1st, so last month I had 1 hive. And did a split. Caught 2 swarms, now I got 4. The most I've ever had at any one time was 2 hives. And you know, for a backyard beekeeper, 2 hives is pretty good. 4 hives is safer in case you had some die-outs or something like that. You know, if you can come out, even if you can come out of the winter with 1 hive, you can, and it's a healthy hive like this one was, just packed all 10 frames from the very bottom all the way to the top. Just even the top where they were walking is all packed, and yeah, you could probably make, you know, 3/4 splits out of that 1 hive. I just made 1, so at this point I'm thinking that that one's queenless. No queen. That's okay. I was thinking about one point. I was thinking, because there were so many mites. One point I got something like 450 mites in a 24-hour period out of that hive. It was heavily infested. Because if this stays infested like that, and you don't like using pesticides and that, which I don't, and I was just thinking, how can I get that queen out there and store her for a while until the varroa mite count gets around 0? And so, and then the fact that I think I left them queenless, that actually did it, right? That solved my problem in my head. Is I'd like to capture that queen and take her out of there, so that, you know, that varroa mite can come down. Because if the varroa mites don't have a cell for them to lay eggs with, something, you know, something for them to feed off, because they need a bee in there to feed off the fat of the bee for the eggs to hatch and become adults, right? And the varroa mites. And so, but you remove the queen, she's not laying eggs, there's nothing for the mites to feed on, so they don't lay eggs. They just slowly dwindle away and die out. But so does the hive if there's no eggs, right? The hive, there's no bee, you know, no egg larvae for the bees. You know, no queen laying eggs. The hive will also die out, along with this varroa mites. So it's a, you know, the way I'm thinking about doing it is kind of a juggling act. Okay, well, yeah, not a single bee going into those baited nukes. I was actually hoping that maybe there was 2 hives that were getting ready to swarm out, which, you know, it happens, but you really have to have a lot of bee hives, you know, in your area. And I don't think there's very many in this area within a half a mile or so. I don't think there's that many. And so typically when the bees swarm out, they're looking They're looking for something that's in close proximity, less than a half a mile. They want to find something like close. They can just go from the hive they're leaving just real quick to the other one and get in there and get secure. Get themselves hunkered down. Their preference is not to like fly into a tree, no place to go. That's not a good situation. And and that's why they get so excited when they're ready to do a split from some other hive. That's why they get so excited when they find my baited nukes. They're just dancing with joy, really excited, and looking forward to getting into that hive as soon as possible, because it's secure. It's not just hanging from trees. That's not secure. Predators can just pluck them off. No place to build comb, no place to lay eggs. Yeah, they don't want to do that. But they will do that, if they can't find anything else, and that overwhelming urge to split is there. They'll go hang on a tree or wherever, a house, a car, a sidewalk, don't matter. They just need to get the heck out of that hive because they can't stay any longer because there's not enough room. And so there it is. 4 hives. Cool, man. 4 hives, and I think one is queenless, but that's okay. That hive was so packed with bees. Oh my gosh. I don't mind it dwindling a little bit. Get those varroa mites down, way down to hopefully to 0. Throw a queen cell in there with a couple of day-old larvae. Maybe 2 or 3 of them. Just put them right in the center and let them make a queen. 14 days she'll hatch out. Go find some dudes to have some fun with and come back and start laying. So it's probably what's going to happen. So I'm going to, in about an hour, I'm going to pull those panels out of both ones. The split that I did yesterday, it had 2 varroa mites. Pretty good. Because they bring them in. They're out, the varroa mites are everywhere. So they bring them in. And if I see 1 or 2 now and then, now I gotta say though, and that's okay. The swarm that I caught last year, for months I didn't even see 1 varroa mite. Not even 1. For months. And in the split that I did, yeah, I got a couple yesterday. And I pull these panels, observational panels, every day. Because I want to see the trajectory, because it's really critical this time of year, because this is actually when the varroa mites explode. Worldwide, when it gets warm and the drones are being laid and all that, that's when there's an explosion of varroa mites. And if we don't control that early on, yeah, the hive becomes sick and weak, and yeah, it's likely going to die. I've lost 4 hives that way. Just hoping nature would take care of itself. Well, it didn't. Hoping that they can organically take care of it themselves. Well, it didn't happen organically. Sometimes we just got to step in. I got all those bees packed on those feeding trays wanting more food. I stopped feeding them though, because if there's no queen, they don't need that kind of food. And not only that, but I have fed them so much that those frames are already probably heavily packed with honey, right? So now they're just bored because I suspect there's no queen, and so they're bored, right? There's not much to do in the hive anymore, taking care of the larvae and taking care of the queen. There's not much to do. So they just kind of hang out. They just kind of hang out at the front. Not much to do inside. Nothing really happening. They can't store any food, not much of it anyway, because I'm not feeding them that. So they're bored. They're just hanging out. Sometimes that front is just packed with bees that are bored. I don't know what to do. No queen to feed, no larvae to take care of and manage, and feed. So they just hang out in the front. That's okay. So yesterday I had right around a dozen varroa mites in a 24-hour period. To me, that's too high. This time of year, in a 24-hour period, to have 12 mites drop, Now I gotta say though, last week about half the varroa mites were very active. I would try to grab them with the tweezer and they would jump away. It's like chasing the varroa mites on the panel. Like what? Right? And the ones lately, no, they look dead, um, pretty much. And so, and what that's kind of telling me is that they're falling off of the dead bees that are inside. And so, or they finished their life cycle, their own life cycle, and they're just dying off, right? Because they also have a similar life cycle as a bee. So, yeah, I don't think I saw. Well, actually, I think I saw one live one yesterday, but it wasn't that. It wasn't very active. It wasn't trying to jump away as I was trying to grab it with tweezers. Okay, well, uh, please subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, leave a comment, click the like, and I guess I'll start waiting. I guess I'll wait until I start seeing more activity somewhere else. So what I'm going to do, I'm not sure. I'm just going to have to go by my instincts when it's time. My thinking is to close that flap, the one in the swarm I caught in the cherry tree today, around midnight, bring it and put it on top of this blue hive. So, and then throw some weeds and branches and stuff in front of the entrance. Open the flap, so when they come out in the morning, they'll see all that something has changed. But they're still gonna go up to that cherry tree. They'll do that for like a week or more. Just what happened? You know, because they have to reorientate. And they, unfortunately, when they come out, unless they're 2 miles away or more, when they come out, they just come out to go feed. They don't even pay attention that they're in a new location. They just, I'm gonna go feed, and then they start to go feed, and they go to where they remember the last place they orientated, which is in the cherry tree, and it ain't there, and they don't know where to go. It's kind of like setting your keys somewhere, not paying attention where you set your keys, and you go, "Where are those keys?" Right? Oh, they're in my pocket. So there you go. All right. Good day. Through the Margarena.